Jason lived alone in a small apartment on the edge of the city. He was a tech lover, always buying new gadgets. His room was filled with glowing screens, boxes, wires, and blinking lights. He also had a small YouTube channel where he reviewed tech products. It didn't have many subscribers, but he still enjoyed making videos. One evening, he received a delivery, a large black box with silver lines and no company name. Just a sticker on top that said, "Smart Pet V9, your new forever companion." Jason smiled. "This must be the one I ordered last month from that strange website," he said, setting up his camera. He pressed record. "Hey tech heads, Jason here with something super new. It's called Smart Pet V9. They say it's not just a robot, it's emotional. It learns and it becomes your best friend. Sounds creepy? Let's find out." He cut the tape and slowly opened the box. But inside ... there was no robot. There was no pet. It was a cocoon. Yes, a glowing silver cocoon, floating inside a glass tube. Jason froze. What the hell is this? He tapped the glass. The cocoon moved, just a little. And then, the tube made a soft beep sound. A message appeared on a tiny screen. "Beginning awakening process." Jason stepped back. "Awakening? Wait, what?" No. The cocoon started to crack. Thin blue light leaked out from inside. A soft humming sound filled the room, and the air felt heavy, like a storm was coming. Crack, crack, splash. The cocoon broke open. Thick liquid poured out as something moved inside. Jason's eyes widened. A figure sat up, covered in glowing slime. It was a girl. Her skin was smooth and pale. Her long white hair was soaked, and glowing symbols moved gently across her arms. Her eyes opened, bright blue, not human, and full of confusion. She looked at Jason. Her lips moved. Hunger. Then she collapsed. Jason panicked. Oh no, what is this?" He rushed forward, grabbed a towel, and wrapped it around her. She was breathing, slow and weak. He carefully laid her on the couch. "What did I buy? What the hell is this thing?" he whispered. He ran back to the box, searching for instructions. There was a small card at the bottom with text and strange symbols, alien symbols. But one part was translated. "Do not bond with I." Jason read it again. "Do not bond ... What does that mean?" He looked back at the girl. She was now asleep, her body glowing softly like moonlight. The symbols on her skin moved slowly, like they were alive. His camera was still recording. Jason picked it up, hands shaking. "Guys ... I think this isn't a pet. I think I just brought something. Not from this world. Into my home." He turned the camera off. Later that night, Jason sat across from the girl. She had woken up once, asked for water, and fallen asleep again. Her voice was soft, almost robotic, but her eyes were full of emotion. Jason searched the internet, trying to find information on Smart Pet V9, but the website was gone. No reviews, no videos, no company name. It was like it never existed. He checked the box again. This time, he found a small chip hidden inside a secret compartment. He plugged it into his laptop. It asked for a fingerprint. Jason looked at the girl. Slowly, he took her hand and placed her finger on the chip scanner. Click. The chip unlocked. A video began to play. It showed a lab, glowing blue lights, men in white suits, and something floating in a large tank. It was her. She was being created. Grown. Designed. A voice spoke in the video. Prototype 9. Final test before transport. Warning. If emotional bond is formed with host, detachment becomes impossible. The video stopped. Jason looked at the girl again. She wasn't just a robot. She wasn't just a pet. She was something much more. Something dangerous, but somehow she also looked innocent. Like a lost child. Jason whispered to himself, "What have I brought into my life? Then the girl opened her eyes again. She looked straight at Jason and said, "They're watching." Cut to black. Jason didn't sleep that night. He sat on the edge of his chair, eyes fixed on the strange girl now resting on his couch. Her breathing was calm, but her body still gave off a soft glow, like moonlight trapped inside her skin. The towel was wrapped tightly around her, and her wet hair dripped quietly onto the blanket he had placed beneath her. He couldn't believe what he had just seen, or rather, what he had just unboxed. She wasn't a robot. She wasn't a pet. She was something else. Something alive. The video chip he had found earlier still played in his mind. Images of a lab, machines humming, scientists speaking in quiet, urgent voices. She had been grown in a tank, monitored, programmed maybe, and then boxed up and delivered to a complete stranger like him. As if she were a product. Prototype 9. Jason didn't know what that meant exactly. But one thing was clear. She wasn't supposed to bond with anyone. And here she was. In his home. At around 3 a.m., the girl stirred. Her fingers twitched. Her eyes blinked open. This time, they were a softer blue, less glowing, more human. Jason stood slowly, careful not to scare her. She looked at him. Then, around the room, her voice was barely a whisper. "Where is this?" "You're safe," Jason said gently. "You're in my apartment. In the city. You came out of that box over there." She looked at the box and frowned, her eyebrows pulling together as if the sight hurt her. "I remember. Darkness. Then, noise. Then you." Jason kneeled beside her. "What's your name?" The girl blinked. "Name? Yeah, you have one, right?" She paused, thinking deeply, then softly replied, "They called me 9. Jason made a face. "That's not a name, that's a number." She tilted her head. "Do you have a name?" "Yeah, I'm Jason." There was a silence. Then she nodded slowly. "Jason," he smiled awkwardly. "Do you want a real name?" Another pause. She looked into his eyes. "You can give me one?" She asked, like it was the strangest idea in the world. "I think I can." He thought for a moment, then said, "Nova, how about that?" She repeated it softly. "Nova," Jason nodded. "Nova it is." Nova sat up slightly, still weak but more alert. She looked around the apartment like she was seeing Earth for the first time. The flickering TV, the humming fridge, the small plant by the window. Everything made her eyes widen in wonder. "Is this your world?" she asked. Jason nodded. "Yeah, welcome to it." She reached out toward the plant. As her fingers touched a leaf, something strange happened. The plant straightened, its leaves glowing faintly. Jason saw it. "Whoa, did you do that?" Nova pulled her hand back quickly. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It's hard to control." Jason stared. "What are you, Nova?" She looked down at her hands. "Not human, not machine." "Not sure." Her answer sent a chill through him. They spent the rest of the early morning talking, slowly. Nova spoke in short, careful sentences. She seemed to know some English but struggled with bigger words. She asked about small things, what the ceiling fan was, why the window showed moving lights, why the fridge made noise. Jason tried to explain in the simplest ways he could, but one thing became clear. Nova was learning. Fast. By sunrise, she was speaking more clearly. Her questions were sharper. She began remembering things, flashes from the lab, voices in her head, words like energy core and genetic fuse. But with every memory, she looked more afraid. "There was a signal," she whispered. "A pulse before I woke up. Something called to me. Something not kind." Jason rubbed his face. This was getting too big, too fast. He wasn't a scientist. He wasn't a hero. He was just a guy who liked unboxing gadgets, and now he had an alien girl on his couch, who was talking about strange signals and energy pulses. He decided to try calling someone, not the government, but his tech friend Kyle, who worked in underground. Hardware trading. Kyle knew weird stuff. Maybe he could help, but as Jason picked up his phone, the screen flickered. The battery died instantly, though it had 80% just seconds before. What the? The TV went dark. The lights blinked twice and died. Every electronic in the room shut off at the same moment. Nova closed her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said. "When I get scared, I lose control." Jason tried to stay calm. "It's okay. Just breathe. You're safe here." But she opened her eyes slowly and whispered something that made his stomach twist. "No one is safe if they find me." "Who's they?" She looked at him, truly afraid now. "The ones who made me." Before Jason could speak, something buzzed. A sound outside the window. He pulled back the curtain. A black drone hovered silently in the air. Watching. Jason stepped back. Heart racing. Nova grabbed his hand. "They found me." Jason didn't speak. He couldn't. He simply stood there, frozen, as the black drone hovered outside his window, cold, quiet, and staring. No lights, no sound. Just a glassy eye watching him and the alien girl on the couch. Nova squeezed his hand. Her grip was cold, but steady. "We have to go," she said. Jason snapped out of his shock. "Go where?" "We're in the middle of the city." Nova's eyes didn't leave the drone. "Anywhere but here." The drone suddenly moved. Not away, but up, straight up. And then, gone. Jason locked the door, though he knew it wouldn't help. Whoever sent that thing probably didn't care about locks. Nova stood slowly. Her legs were shaky, but her expression was firm. "They're scanning now," she said quietly. "Looking for me." "I shouldn't have woken." Jason stared at her, confused and scared. "Who exactly is they?" "You keep saying they." "Are you talking about the people who made you?" Nova nodded. "The project's creators. They called themselves the Circle. They are not from here. Some are human. Most are not." Jason felt dizzy. "Wait, not from here? You mean aliens?" She nodded again. "They live on Earth, in secret, watching, hiding, testing." Jason laughed nervously. "You're saying aliens have been running science experiments down here, like making you?" Nova looked at him with a serious face. "They didn't just make me. They made many. I was the only one who survived the awakening." Jason sat down, head in his hands. "This is insane." Nova walked toward the box she had come from. She touched its side, and a hidden panel popped open. Inside was a small glass cube, glowing softly. Jason leaned forward. "What is that?" "It's a data core," she said. "It holds memory. Mine, and others." Jason picked it up carefully. "Can I read it?" She nodded. "You'll need to use your computer, but don't connect to the internet. If you do, they'll see us." Jason grabbed his old laptop, the one he never used anymore. No Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, completely offline. He plugged in the cube using an adapter. The screen flickered. A series of files loaded in a language Jason didn't understand. Symbols, diagrams, rotating DNA strands, blinking energy models, and a row of video logs. He clicked the first one. A man appeared on the screen, early 50s, tired eyes, messy white lab coat. Behind him were glowing tanks. In one of them floated a shape, a person, a girl. Nova. The man spoke. His voice was calm but urgent. "Log 17. Subject 9 shows remarkable energy response to emotional triggers. Unlike the others, she seems to absorb, not just mimic, human behavior. We must be careful. If she bonds, the awakening will be unpredictable." Jason leaned closer. "That's you," he whispered. "They had you in a tank." Nova looked away. "I don't remember that part." Jason clicked the next log. Log 19. Circle members are divided. Somewhat a weaponized Subject 9. Others say she is too unstable. I believe she is something new. Something between life and machine. A true hybrid. Jason stopped the video. They were fighting over what to do with you. Nova nodded. Slowly, they couldn't decide, so they left it to chance. Jason raised an eyebrow. What chance? Nova looked at him with sadness in her voice. They sent me to Earth, to bond, to choose. If I bonded with someone weak, I would become a weapon. If I bonded with someone kind, I might become more. Jason swallowed. And you bonded with me. I didn't mean to, she whispered. A loud bang suddenly echoed through the building. Jason jumped to his feet. Nova looked toward the door. Footsteps. Heavy ones. Jason rushed to his closet and pulled out a bag. We have to leave, now. Nova grabbed the glass cube and tucked it under her arm. There's a place, north of the city, a man who escaped the circle. I think he knows more. Jason opened the fire escape. Lead the way. They climbed down into the night. The city buzzed around them, unaware of the danger hiding in the shadows. From a rooftop, another drone watched. It didn't attack. It simply recorded. Inside its lens, a red light blinked 3 times. And far, far away, somewhere in deep space, a signal was received. A massive ship turned its eyes toward Earth and smiled. Asterisk. The night wind was cold as Jason and Nova moved through the empty streets. They didn't speak much. Their footsteps echoed in alleyways as the city slept around them. Unaware that something strange, something dangerous was on the move, Nova kept looking over her shoulder. Her senses were sharper than Jason's. She could feel energy, the kind humans couldn't detect. It made her anxious. Not just the drones, but something larger. Something waking up. Jason led them to an old train yard where his childhood friend, Kyle, lived in a converted storage unit. Kyle was strange, paranoid, and brilliant. He didn't trust the government or smart tech, which made him the perfect person to hide with. They knocked. Kyle opened the door with a homemade blaster in hand. What the hell, Jason? It's 3 a.m. Jason held up both hands. I need help. And I brought something you won't believe. Kyle looked at Nova. His eyes widened, but he said nothing. Inside, Nova sat quietly while Jason explained everything. The unboxing, the cocoon, the awakening, the drone, the files from the cube. Kyle listened in silence, nodding slowly, his mind racing. Finally he said, she's not a robot. She's not AI. She's a biotech being, built with alien code and human DNA. Someone has cracked the laws of nature. Jason sighed. Yeah, I kinda figured that. Nova stayed quiet for most of it. Her fingers ran over the glowing marks on her arms. They shifted color slowly, from soft blue to golden white. Kyle walked over to her, cautious. Do you feel pain? Nova looked up. Yes, but not the same way you do. Jason stepped closer. She's been having these blackouts. Her powers activate when she's scared or emotional. She shut off all my electronics just by panicking. Kyle nodded. Emotions are tied to her core systems. If her bond with you gets stronger, so do her powers. Nova whispered. I didn't choose to bond. But I can't undo it now. Jason looked at her. What does that mean for me? Nova met his eyes. If I die, you feel it. If I suffer, you will dream of it. If I awaken fully, I may lose myself, and you may lose your life. Jason took a deep breath. That's intense. Kyle suddenly stood. You said something about a man, a creator? Nova nodded. One of the scientists. He didn't agree with the circle. He tried to help me. I saw his face in a dream, and I remembered a name. Dr. Rallen. Kyle's face changed. That's a ghost name. I've seen it on deep web files. A scientist who went missing 12 years ago. Some say he worked with alien tech in Siberia. Others say he disappeared into the Arctic Circle. Nova closed her eyes. He's not far. I can feel his signal. Weak, familiar. Jason asked. Can we find him? Kyle shrugged. Maybe, but if the circle is watching you, and they are, it's only a matter of time before they track you again. Outside, the wind changed. Nova stood suddenly. Something's near. Jason grabbed his bag. We're not staying here. As they moved toward the door, Nova paused. Her glowing hand touched Jason's shoulder. You are kind, she said. You could have given me to them, but you didn't. Jason looked at her. You're not just some alien tech to me anymore. You're Nova, and I think you deserve a choice. She smiled. Just a little. Her first real smile, but before she could reply, the ground shook. A low hum filled the air. Jason and Kyle rushed outside. In the sky above the train yard, a bright ring of light opened, like a glowing doorway. From it, a strange ship descended, black, silent, and shaped like a blade. Nova's eyes went wide. That's not from Earth. The ship hovered, and a voice spoke through the air. No speakers, just sound vibrating through their bones. Return Subject 9, or face consequences. Jason grabbed Nova's hand. No, he said. She's not yours anymore. The ship charged something at its core. The air burned. Nova stepped forward, her body lighting up like a small star. Jason shouted, Nova, no, you'll get hurt. She didn't listen. Her voice echoed, louder than her size. I am not your property. Her body released a pulse, pure white light. It hit the ship, knocking it back into the sky. The ring closed. Silence returned. Jason stared, eyes wide. Kyle dropped his weapon. Nova turned toward them. Her eyes were glowing again, but this time, full of something new, power. I didn't know I could do that, she said. Jason walked to her, heart racing. Neither did I. Nova looked up at the stars. They won't stop now. They'll send more. Jason replied. Then we find Dr. Rallen, and we figure this out. Together. Nova smiled again. Together. Behind them, the night sky shimmered faintly. Something else had seen what Nova did. Not from Earth, not from the HFY circle, and it had just changed its course. Jason had never traveled so far so fast in his life. The road stretched out for miles under the pale blue sky, and the silence between him and Nova inside the stolen car was heavy. Kyle stayed behind to keep their tracks covered. Jason didn't want to leave him, but Nova had insisted. The faster they found the creator, the better chance they had of surviving what was coming. Nova sat in the passenger seat, her face quiet, her mind far away. The glowing patterns on her arms had stopped moving, like they were asleep. But Jason knew better now. She wasn't resting. She was searching. I can feel him, she finally said. Jason glanced at her. Dr. Rallen? She nodded. Yes. His signal is weak, but it's there. It's like a voice in the back of my mind calling out. Jason tapped the steering wheel nervously. Why is he calling out now? Because I'm awake, she said. Because time is almost gone. The last part made Jason's heart skip. Time? What do you mean? Nova looked out the window. When I was created, they built something inside me. A countdown. A trigger. If I stayed dormant, nothing would happen. But the moment I bonded with a human, that timer began. Jason tightened his grip on the wheel. And what happens when it reaches zero? Nova turned to face him, her voice barely a whisper. I become a beacon. Jason slowed the car. A beacon? For what? She looked him straight in the eyes. For them. They drove the rest of the way in silence. The signal led them to an old, overgrown facility deep in the northern woods. It looked abandoned, gray concrete walls covered in moss, cracked windows, and rusted fences. But as Nova approached the main gate, the door opened with a soft hiss. Someone was still there. Inside, the air was stale. The walls buzzed with faint power. They moved through empty halls until they found a long room filled with computers, glowing softly in the dim light. In the center sat a man with silver hair, hunched over a terminal. He didn't look up when they entered. "I was wondering when you'd find me," he said, voice rough but calm. Nova stopped. "Rallin." He turned around slowly. His face was aged, tired. But his eyes, sharp and intelligent, lit up when he saw her. "You survived," Nova nodded. "Barely." Rallin stepped closer. "I warned them not to send you. You weren't ready." Jason stepped forward. "Hey, I'm Jason, the human she bonded with. You mind explaining what's going on? Because I'm just a guy who wanted a smart pet, and now I'm basically in a sci-fi nightmare." Rallin gave a sad smile. "Then I'm sorry, Jason. But this isn't a nightmare. This is the future. And you're standing next to the only thing that might save it." He walked to a table and picked up a device shaped like a star. "When we discovered alien tech years ago, we didn't know what we were playing with. It was beautiful, dangerous, beyond anything human science had ever touched. The Circle wanted to use it, control it, turn it into weapons." Jason crossed his arms. "And Nova was part of that plan?" Rallin nodded. "She was the final experiment. They took alien energy, raw consciousness, and tried to give it a human form, a mind, a soul, something that could think and feel, and maybe love." Nova whispered, "And if I loved, I would awaken." "Yes," Rallin said, "but awakening means you become a signal, a flare in the dark. And the ones who sent the tech in the first place, they'll see it." Jason stared at him. "You mean Nova is like a radio tower, telling aliens Earth is ready for invasion?" Rallin nodded. "Exactly." Nova turned away, guilt in her eyes. "So I am the reason they're coming?" "No," Rallin said. "You are the reason we might survive." Jason frowned. "Wait, I thought she was a bomb?" "She's both," Rallin said. "That's the truth. She was built as a choice. If Earth was ready, she would become a bridge, a protector. But if Earth wasn't, she would burn it before the invaders arrived." Nova looked up, shocked. "What?" Rallin touched her shoulder gently. "They didn't trust humanity. They gave us one chance, you." Jason stepped back. "So she could either destroy Earth or defend it, depending on what? Who she bonded with." "Yes," Rallin said. "And she bonded with you." Jason was quiet. Then he said, "Well, I'm not exactly a hero." Rallin shook his head. "You don't have to be. You just have to believe she's more than a weapon." Jason looked at Nova. "I already do." Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the walls. Rallin rushed to the terminal. "They found us," he said. "Circle drones, inbound, lots of them." Jason turned to Nova. "What do we do?" Nova took a deep breath. "We stop running." Her eyes lit up again, not with fear, but with purpose. "I'm done hiding," she said. "If I'm going to be a bridge, then I need to stand." Jason stepped beside her. "Then we'll stand together." Outside, the forest shook with the sound of engines. Dozens of black ships flew in from all directions. But inside the building, the glow around Nova brightened until it lit the entire room. Rallin watched, whispering to himself, "They gave us a weapon, and we gave her a heart." As the walls trembled, Nova stepped forward, a girl, an alien, a protector, ready to make her choice. The sky was burning, not with fire but with light. Strange, electric clouds twisted over the old facility. Thunder cracked where there were no storms. And in the sky above the forest, black ships floated like vultures waiting to strike. Inside the bunker, the walls vibrated. Dust fell from the ceiling. Alarms flashed, screens blinked red, and Jason could hear the hum of energy charging outside, weapons preparing to fire. Nova stood still, eyes closed, glowing brighter than ever before. Lines of light moved across her skin, faster now, less like gentle waves and more like a current about to burst. Jason stood beside her, heart pounding. Rowland shouted over the noise. "They've locked onto her signal." "They're not here for you, Jason. They're here to take her or destroy her." Jason looked at Nova. "Then we fight back." "No," Nova said softly. "You don't fight." "This, Jason, I do." Her voice had changed. It was still hers, but deeper, fuller, like there was another version of her waking up, one that had been asleep for a long time. Jason reached for her hand. "You don't have to do this alone." She looked at him with sadness in her eyes. "That's the thing. I do. This was always my path. I was made for it." "You were made for more than that," Jason said. "You're not just some trigger or weapon. You're a person. You feel. You care." "That has to mean something." Nova turned away. Her thoughts raced. The glow under her skin was getting hotter. It wasn't just light now. It was pressure. Energy building inside her like a storm ready to explode. "I can't stop it," she whispered. "My system, my mind, they're both splitting. Half of me wants to protect. The other half wants to erase everything before the invasion begins." Jason stepped in front of her. "Then choose the part that's you." Her breathing was shaky. "But what if choosing wrong means losing you? Losing Earth?" "Then let's take that chance," Jason said. "Not because you were programmed to, but because you choose to." She stared at him. All this time, she had thought of herself as a tool, an object, a living code made by hands that didn't love her. But Jason, he never treated her like that. From the moment she collapsed in his arms, he gave her warmth, water, care, and most importantly, choice. The ceiling cracked. A metal spike shot down from above, a scanner. It hovered in the air, shining light directly on Nova. It began to pulse red. Rowland yelled. "They're locking her for remote control. They're trying to override her core." Jason turned to Nova. "You have to do it now. Whatever you decide, do it before they do." Nova screamed. Not in pain, but in defiance. Her light burst from her body, shattering the scanner into sparks. The shockwave knocked over chairs, blew out the monitors, and forced Jason and Rowland to the floor. And then silence. When Jason looked up, Nova was floating. Not standing. Floating. Her hair moved like it was underwater. Her eyes were glowing silver now, no longer blue. The lines across her arms were moving in patterns too complex for the human eye to follow. Jason stood, heart racing. "Nova?" She looked down at him, her voice layered with something new, not robotic, not alien, but evolved. "I remember everything," she said. "I remember the lab, the pain, the other prototypes. I remember being afraid, and I remember you." Jason took a slow step forward. "What did you choose?" Nova's glow began to shift. The heat softened. The light around her turned golden, warm, like sunlight breaking through cold clouds. "I choose to protect." She looked up. "I will not let them take me. I will not let them harm this world. If they come for Earth, they come through me." Rowland watched in awe. "She's rewriting her own code. That shouldn't be possible." Jason smiled. "She's doing more than rewriting. She's becoming." Outside, the black ships moved in closer. They opened fire. Beams of light rained down toward the bunker. Nova didn't move. Instead, her glow flared like a second sun, and the energy from the beams bent before touching the ground. The attacks dissolved in the air, like light swallowed by light. Jason covered his eyes. Nova! But she didn't fall. She rose above the trees, above the clouds. She was no longer just a girl. She was a shield, a being of energy, memory, pain, and choice. The ships surrounded her. Nova looked at them, not with fear, but with finality. "If you come to break this world," she said, her voice ringing across the sky, "then break against me." Jason watched from the ground, tears in his eyes, heart split between fear and pride. "I'll wait," he whispered. "Come back to me." The clouds turned white. Nova flew upward, straight into the center of the invading fleet. And the sky lit up. For a moment, the sky went quiet. No sound. No wind. Just light, white, pure, endless, stretching across the heavens like dawn had come early. Jason stood outside the bunker, his eyes squinting toward the sky. The trees around him shook as heat waves rolled over the earth. The clouds above weren't clouds anymore. They were shaped, glowing, like someone had painted energy into the air. Nova had disappeared into them. The alien ships were still there. Silent giants in the sky, weapons aimed, unmoving. But they didn't fire again, because something had changed. Nova was no longer just a signal. She was no longer their device. She had become something they hadn't expected, something they couldn't control. She had become herself. Jason pressed a hand to his chest. He could still feel her, not physically, but something more. Like a heartbeat in the air. A connection that stretched beyond distance. He didn't understand how it worked, only that it was real. Inside the bunker, Rallin worked quickly. "She's engaging their command vessel," he said, watching the data fly across his screen. "She's cutting into their network, rewiring their systems mid-flight. I've never seen anything like this. She's not just fighting them." Jason turned. "What then?" "She's overriding them." Outside, the clouds moved again, this time in a spiral. The center of the alien fleet began to crackle with energy. Jason looked up and saw her. Nova, hovering between the ships, arms stretched out, eyes burning like twin suns. Her voice wasn't just heard anymore, it was felt. It moved through the air like thunder wrapped in music. "I see you," she said to the ships. "You created me to be a weapon, to prepare the way for your rule. But I am not your path. I am not your puppet." The lead ship responded, speaking in a deep metallic voice. "You were built to begin the cleansing. You were built to burn what was weak. Do your task." Nova turned her head slightly. "Then I choose to burn you." She rose higher. And then it began. Light fell from the sky like rain. But this was no attack. This was Nova, shedding her former self, unlocking every part of her design. Her body expanded with golden energy. Her skin glowed with millions of fractal patterns. Her voice echoed through space. The alien ships launched all at once. Beams of light, sonic bursts, swarms of black machines, but none of them touched her. The moment they came close, they bent, folded, collapsed into dust. Nova didn't attack with violence. She attacked with understanding. She connected to each ship, read its system, saw its thoughts, its fear, its history. And she unmade it, not by force, but by rewriting the code of their very existence. Jason felt at his knees as the sky rippled, one by one. The ships shattered into silent explosions of light. No fire, no debris. Just light. And when the last one fell, the clouds cleared. Nova floated above the earth, alone, her light now soft and slow. Her energy dimming, not because she was failing, but because she had given everything. Jason ran out into the field, screaming her name, "Nova." She turned her head, saw him. Smiled. And fell. He caught her before she hit the ground. Her body was warm, her eyes dim. "Jason," she whispered, "did it work?" "You stopped them," he said, choking back tears. "You saved us." She smiled again. "Then it was worth it." Her hand touched his cheek. "I'm sorry I can't stay." "No," he said. "No, you don't get to leave. You said we'd do this together." She blinked slowly. "We did." Her light faded. And then she was still. The wind passed gently through the trees. The world was quiet again. Jason held her. Minutes passed. Then hours. Rallin stood behind him, silent, head bowed. The sky began to heal. The clouds moved back into their proper place. The stars returned, but Jason couldn't move until something Strange happened. The earth beneath Nova's body shimmered. Not light, not heat, but life. A small cocoon formed around her. Soft, pale, glowing gently like the one Jason had opened days ago. He stepped back as it rose into the air, floating, and then slowly descended onto the ground, like a sleeping child being tucked into bed. Rowland placed a hand on Jason's shoulder. She's regenerating. Jason looked at him, stunned. How long? Rowland shook his head. Could be days, weeks, years. She gave everything. The universe will need time to give her back. Jason nodded. I'll wait. Days turned to weeks. News outlets couldn't explain what had happened. The world called it a storm, a miracle, a defense weapon no one understood. But Jason knew the truth. He kept the cocoon safe in a room filled with soft lights and music. Every morning, he talked to her, told her about his day, his fears, his hopes. And every night, he waited. Then, one evening, just after sunset, the cocoon cracked. Jason rushed to it, heart racing. Light spilled out. And then, a hand, then soft hair, then glowing eyes. Nova stepped out, blinking, confused. Jason couldn't speak. She smiled, tired but happy. I came back, she said softly. He stepped forward, speechless. For my human.